covered Sigrid's briefing, so I think we'll just go straight to questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Abdul Hamid Sayami from the Arabic Daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi, so I just want to record my... You have been 6 months in the job, madam. Your report is confusing. Sometimes you talk about progress, sometimes you talk about a very pessimistic situation. So how you evaluate your 6 months of work? Did the Palestinians get any benefit from this appointment?
Well, it's not about my appointment, it's not about me. I think you have to look at it through the lens of the resolution. The resolution asks two things: facilitation, expedition, and acceleration of humanitarian assistance. One. Second part is the establishment of a mechanism to underpin this. I'll start with the second part. The mechanism is operational, up and running. It enabled the establishment of additional supply routes, Cyprus, importantly Jordan, the Jordan corridor. It enabled also the temporary reopening of the port of Ashdod, the opening of Tsikim and West Eretz, which allowed for aid to go to the north, which has actually been very important in the recent period. Now, the closure of the Rafah border crossing, of course, so extremely important since the military invasion in Rafah by the Israelis, has undercut the ability to bring significant volume and sustain that. There's another leg to a changing situation in a war zone, which of course is the lawlessness and the breakdown of civil order, which makes it very hard for the humanitarians, UN included, to come and receive aid and subsequently distribute it. So there are bits of progress, and of course in the overall uptake as a Palestinian civilian in Gaza, can I be sure that the type of aid I need and the scope of goods I need for my human dignity? No, this falls far short. And this is on the international community. This is why we keep briefing and updating, and this is why I keep going back to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv to make these points, to ask, and to see where we can actually achieve. Recent commitments on medical evacuation is one. What's needed for water and sanitation, given the looming public health crisis in Gaza, waste management, etc. But I think my report is quite comprehensive. Thank you.
Mike?
Two questions, Ms. Kaag. Number one, other than laying out the facts on the ground for the Council today, did you make any specific recommendations to them going forward? And secondly, much has been made of the tensions between the UN and Israeli authorities in terms of getting humanitarian aid going. What have those discussions been like in terms of your personal experience?
Well, I'll start with the last question. I have been well received. I keep having access to the highest levels, and I have important conversations to obviously focus on the implementation of what's so important, which is sustained flow of assistance of a broad nature into the Gaza Strip to assist civilians. Equally so to make sure that we can verify and monitor and that those take place in a correct and a constructive atmosphere, and there's an ongoing need. Members of my team are also in close contact. The first part, the tensions, as you said, it depends on which area of work you would speak to. I'll stick to what is most relevant to Security Council Resolution 2720. That is, of course, the data. We see an ongoing discussion about X number of trucks, either piling up at Kerem Shalom or the goods, and the ability of the UN actually to come and collect it and distribute it. You see a data gap there. And those are obviously different conclusions that we draw. But what's actually interesting about the establishment of the mechanism, it has one database. You can see which types of goods go in, what's approved, what's denied, and where's the follow-up. So hopefully we can also have, at least on that part, a common ground in order to fix it and to solve it, because the civilians in Gaza need as much as possible. They need it sustained, and they don't need it tomorrow, they need it way back when.
Efraim?
Thank you so much. Ms. Kaag, you mentioned the importance of having political will, and also you mentioned that you met Prime Minister Netanyahu. How would you describe his attitude towards the humanitarian situation, and did you sense that he has any political will to have the humanitarian situation be relieved there? Also, many other delegates today and ambassadors said that nothing really can be done short of a complete ceasefire of the humanitarian level. Do you share that assessment as well?
Well, I think if we go back to the essence, indeed, the international community, Secretary General, the Council has been asking early on for a ceasefire, the release, unconditional release of all hostages. And that, of course, would be a significant game changer when we talk about conditions on the ground, the ability of the United Nations and all the other international NGOs and local NGOs to reach people, to actually do their work. I'm not in the habit, not as a politician and not now, of giving sort of personal comments on attitudes or comments of others. I care about a correct and constructive meeting that I have in a professional engagement, and ultimately what matters, which I've said in the Council, commitments and intent are good, or intentions, but what matters is the shift and the change on the ground, what we can see and what we can measure. That's the only metric at the end of the day that matters. Thank you.
Political
Thank
will.
you.